Mesdames, Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, accueillons, please welcome, votre animateur préféré, your favorite host, Shaun Starr.
Yeah, we're out of the car again, my friends. Hello and welcome back. Don't forget, youtube.com/inthecarwithstarr, facebook.com/inthecarwithstarr. Hope you've enjoyed some of the interviews we've done with Dan Robertson, the voice of the Montreal Canadiens, Eric Macramella, of course, back into the world of golf with Sean Perno from TaylorMade and David Hill, certified teacher here in La Belle Province. And we're back into the world of golf, a little bit of a passion project of mine. It's a pleasure to introduce him to you in the video. We've had him on the TSN 690 morning show several times over the years. He covers golf, and as a broadcaster with RDS, you've watched us interview Michel Lacroix last week. This is his partner on those telecasts. He was the PGA Quebec Player of the Year again in 2021. He's right now in Florida, where he resides in the off season. I'm not jealous at all. I'm looking outside. It's a -30 and covered in snow. I haven't swung a golf club in about a month. Yohann Benson, welcome to Out of the Car with Starr. How are you, my man?
I'm doing great. Really can't complain here in West Palm Beach, where I reside. I've been a Florida resident since about 2005. So I'm the opposite of a snowbird. I spend my summers in Quebec. So last summer was my third summer in Quebec since I've joined RDS in 2019. So it was my third summer back in Quebec after many years full-time in the States.
Yeah, as you know, some people may know either they've been taught by Yohann, maybe when he once worked at Laval sur le Lac, where I'm friends with their 3 Anglo members, 2 Greek brothers and an Armenian doctor. Those are the guys. I know them. I get to go play there because I know them. But now he started a new project, jumping over to Club de Golf Le Mirage. That is, once upon a time, people think of the Mirage, they associate it obviously with the great Céline Dion and her late husband, René Angelil, but now there's another local Montreal connection. José Theodore, part of a group of local Quebec investors that took over that golf club, and Yohann is now teaching there. So how's that experience? How was that experience during COVID, working at Le Mirage? And have you seen a surge in golf's popularity in Quebec?
Definitely, and we're living it also in Florida. But I made the transition. The new ownership came and got me from Laval and brought me to Le Mirage. There's 18 shareholders. José's one of them. Jonathan Huberdeau's another one. Anthony Mata, a bunch of sports guys. So it was a great transition for me. It's a great fit for me also, Le Mirage, because they allow me not only to be their professional. I'm very involved in everything going on at the club. I teach a lot. I try to play twice or 3 times a week with the members, but they allow me to do my work with you guys, the media work with RDS, TSN, Le 91.9 Sport, the French sports radio. So I get a lot of leeway to do what I need to do. But it's really a great fit. It's a fun group of guys, and it's probably the club where I've been with where women are the most involved. There's a lot of women playing, which is great. It's very couple oriented. A lot of couples are golfing. The Sunday couples league is huge. And we have, the one of the greatest lady professional has been there forever, Debbie Savoie-Morel. She's such a great ambassador for women's golf in Quebec, and she's done a tremendous job, showcasing and teaching the ladies the love of the game, the proper etiquette and all that. And she's a great mentor for me.
Well, I hope to have, and I've already been talking to her, Elise Paymont from Richelieu, to maybe come on the pod and talk about it. There's another great player that comes out of Quebec, provincial AMS, a scholarship player at Arkansas University, now teaching pro. There's a rich tradition there. Let's talk about the perks of joining private clubs. And I've been a member at the Kanawaki Golf Club now. This is going to be my 8th season in 2022. It took me a little bit before I decided to make the jump. Obviously, there is budget requirements that go into joining a club. But from my perspective, what attracted me to private golf was A, I'm passionate, B, I'm going to get the rounds in, and C, it's the community of golf, right? Where you have like-minded people that bring you in. And I think it helps bring you to another level. Do you see that with private golf as a way to attract more people to the game? That it doesn't necessarily, Yohann, doesn't have to be out of reach. Like, it is attainable. You can be a member of a private club, right?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Obviously, you have private clubs that can reach any type of budget. Obviously, you have your very exclusive clubs, like we have here in the United States. There are really exclusive clubs, but it's when you join a club, you become part of the tradition. You become part of the family. It's a great way to make friends. You join some leagues. At Le Mirage, we're very fortunate. We have two courses, two completely different courses. So you kind of never play the same course. And there are so many different groups to join. There's some guys our age. There are some leagues Saturday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Friday afternoon. There's always something going on, it seems, at a private club. And for me, since, I was 2 years at Laval, and last summer was my first year at Le Mirage, when I made the transition to become a club pro, I was the assistant down here in Florida at the Wanderers Club, which is a very high-end, very private club. And on a busy day, if we had 20 golfers, it was a miracle.
Wow.
So transitioning from that type of club to Laval-sur-le-Lac and then Le Mirage, those two clubs are really busy. There's stuff going on every day. So I wasn't used to that. So that was the biggest transition for me, is how popular golf is in Quebec and how busy, even at your club. Your club has a rich tradition of no tee times. You can't do that anymore because it's just so busy.
The honeymoon, my friend, is over. The honeymoon.
Correct.
Listen, when I first joined, man, I kid you not, I would leave work. I'd get to the club at 10:45. I'd look around. Il n'y a pas de personne en parking. Je mange au premier tee. Il n'y a personne. I played 3 balls by myself. I played the Tiger game. I'd hit 3 shots, and I'd play the worst. I'd play the worst ball.
Correct.
And so I would tee off just after the older crowd. And then just before, like, the young businessmen would come in after their 3 o'clock workday was over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, I think in 8 years, the club has doubled in membership.
Yeah.
I think there are over 400 members, and we're not even counting the ladies portion of the club. And so the surge in popularity is off the charts. And, when we introduced Yohann to the pod today, we told you that he was the player of the year again in the PGA Quebec in 2021. How do you balance teaching, working your club pro job at the Mirage, while also, practicing your own game and making a living on the Quebec tour, and staying and sharpening your skills? I mean, that sounds hard, man.
It is, but to be fully honest with you, like, I never practice. I play golf twice a week. That's about it. For some reason, I just know what works for me. And if I do have time to practice, I'm going to practice a little. I'm very fortunate. I've spent a lot of time with the best players in the world. And yes, I've learned from them and their coaches on how to prepare myself with the amount of time I have to prepare myself which is not that much time. You're in the media and all that. Like, when we're covering the British Open, we got to be up. We got to be up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. and we're going to be on air all day. How can I say that? It's just, you just have to practice what, and not only that, but when I'm playing in a tournament, there are certain distances, there are certain shots that I will avoid. Like, I'm not going to put myself at 30 or 40 or 50 yards from the green, because that requires a lot of feel, a lot of touch, and I don't have time to practice those shots. So I'm either going to be real close to the green or I'm going to be at a full shot distance. So I'm just trying to avoid those gray areas where my lack of practice will show. So, you know, those are just ways that, and not only that, but it's important to practice your weaknesses. But another thing I've learned from the best players in the world is, like, for you, if you're going to go play the inner club and you're not very good around the greens or stuff like that, don't spend countless hours practicing what you're not good at, because your level of confidence will be at an all-time low, and then you're going to play competition. So do the opposite. Practice what you're good at, and then your level of confidence will be really high. And then once you tee it up, you feel invincible on the other end. So and for having been with the best players in the world, they don't practice that much. They play a lot. So I kind of, if I play quite a bit, I'm going to have a good feel for the game. And because if I would practice 6 hours a day and never play, I don't feel like I would obtain anything. I wouldn't achieve anything. When I play a lot, my game is sharp, regardless of if I practice or not.
Is there such a thing? And like we talked earlier about the benefits of like joining a private golf club, and one of those is interclub. You talk about competition. Your club where they slot in a group. That group takes on 3 other clubs in the province, and off you go. And it's 10 players. The number 1 seed is the number 1 seed, and you try to accumulate points for your team. The team with the most points either moves up into the next category or perhaps drops down. There's the time where you could kind of stay in the category, but it brings you to another level of the game if you want to take it obviously a bit more seriously. And here's something I struggle with, and maybe you can help sort us out, because I think I have company here. I find myself guilty of over golfing. If I'm going to prepare myself, like I made the interclub team last year, I want to focus and make sure my skills are sharp for competition Saturday, because there's pressure. And I think sometimes, Yohann, I might benefit from taking 2 days off in the lead up to Saturday. Do you think over golfing is a thing, and that it can hurt you more than it can help you?
Well, absolutely. When you're over golf, it's just, you need the right balance for obviously you need the skills, the physical skills to play. So you don't want to get into a competition too tired, but your mind has to be fresh. And like 2 days off, kind of just putting, some sort of reset button in your head will definitely help. But when you get into a competition situation, I always feel like you have to take control of your round, and you got to focus on something that you can control. For me, a lot of times it's just hitting a lot of greens in regulation, just making it easy. And for when you witness the best players in the world day in and day out, you'll notice most players, for the first 2 to 3 to 5 holes in a round, will lower their ball flight. They'll lower the swing speed, and they're not bunting it, but they're just hitting it in play. And after 4 or 5 holes, it's almost like an auto evaluation of what kind of game do I have today. If I feel free and my ball's going where I'm looking and my speed on the green is pretty good, then you can increase the level of aggressive, to become more aggressive and take on more pins and stuff like that. But for me, you're talking about the inner clubs. It's just limiting the mistakes. And if you hit a ton of greens and you make a ton of pars, the other guys are going to start, putting pressure on themselves, and they're going to try to do more than what they're capable of. And that's how you're going to win your match, is let them do the mistakes and you just play your little game. And, if you play your little game and you shoot if we're talking professional golf, if you did what you're supposed to do and you shoot 10 under par for the tournament for 3 or 4 rounds and you get lapped, well then, congrats to who won.
Yeah.
So I always, not only that, but I always have some sort of especially when it's not necessarily if it's a one-day event, but if it's a multi-day event, I'll have some sort of scoring total that I want to get to. You know, it could be 6 under par. It could be depending on the difficulty of the course, obviously. But I always have some certain goals that I know I can achieve. And if I reach those goals and I don't win, then I'm fine with it. I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense in my brain. I hope it makes sense in yours as well. With Yohann Benson, he is the PGA of Quebec Player of the Year in 2021. You watch him on RDS, breaking down coverage. Of course, he joins us on the TSN 690 morning show. When he's able to travel and be a part of any of the 4 majors, he's joining us now from Florida, and of course, teaching pro out of Club de Golf Le Mirage here in Quebec. And of course, if you want lessons with Yohann Benson, either at Le Club du Mirage, or you can go on your Facebook group and correspond with you there and try to. You're doing online lessons with people, Yohann?
No, I don't really have time for that because I do teach. I'm the lead instructor down here at Indian Spring Country Club in Boynton Beach. There is a huge amount of French Canadians, Quebecois, in Boynton Beach. There are 2 clubs where there's a very prestigious club called Quail Ridge.
Oh yeah.
Where there's over 100 members from Laval-sur-le-Lac. There's about 300 Quebecois at Quail Ridge. And right across the street where I'm at Indian Spring, I have, there's over 100 Quebecois. So I'm very busy teaching them. I teach a lot of Quail Ridge members. They come across, they cross the street to come to Indian Spring because they can have, nice lessons in French. So I'm very, very busy in the wintertime teaching at Indian Spring, not only the American members from Indian Spring, but I get a lot of French Canadians also that are in the area.
What's that cost to join Indian Spring?
Indian Spring right now is it's a $10,000 initiation fee, and it's around $500 or $600 a month. We're talking U.S. funds, obviously. Quail Ridge is a little more. Quail Ridge is around $55 to join. And there's a lot of great golf courses in the Boynton Beach area. Right next door to us, you have Pine Tree, where Martin Brodeur is a member at. Mario Lemieux is there. Gary Woodland. It's an extraordinary. That's more of like a Kanawaki. It's more of it's a golfer's golf club.
I love that.
It's not like a social thing like Quail Ridge. Quail Ridge, like, the clubhouse is super. There's a lot of activities going on, tennis, pickleball, bike rides, all sorts of stuff. Pine Tree is a golf club. You play golf, you have a beer, you leave. That's it.
Well, I'll tell you, when I joined Kanawaki in 2014, I had a meeting with 4 other members. They took me out for lunch, and they sat me down. We must have been there, Yohann, for almost 2 hours. Talking about golf, talking about my philosophy of golf, what I like, what I don't like. And the point that they stressed to me was that this is not a country club. We are the Kanawaki Golf Club.
Correct.
The clubhouse can burn down. As long as the fire doesn't touch a blade of grass, nobody cares, right?
Correct. You're right.
And I love that. I love the passion. And look, we do have a very good social scene on the veranda on the 18th hole. It's a great spot to have a drink and watch the golfers come in. And, you hope $5 he's going to miss that putt. $10 he's not going to get a GIR. You know what I mean? It's a good group of like-minded people that are passionate about golf. Before I get into like how we can be better on the course and just enjoy it more, I want to talk about that with you in a second. But further to the point about online lessons, I find that they're everywhere now. Everybody's got an Insta account. Everybody's got a YouTube channel. By the way, subscribe to youtube.com/InTheCarWithStarr. Why should I be any different? And I sometimes feel, Yohann, that it's information overload. How do you feel about, and how do you tell people to navigate through those choppy waters of wanting to get better in the Canadian winter, and like how to filter out the good from the bad?
Well, I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as bad coaches. It's just whatever works for you. I was very fortunate that the way I learned how to teach is is from the PGA Tour coaches. When I was caddying for Mark Hubbard, I caddied about 200 events on tour, about five and a half years. And when Mark would finish his day, I would wait for him to leave, and then I would take his bag and go down to the range and put Mark's bag beside Tiger, Phil, Adam Scott, Jim Furyk, name him. I've done them all. And after a month, 2 months, then the coaches, Sean Foley, to not name him, was Tiger's coach back then, and he's Canadian. So a bunch of coaches realized what I was doing, and they came and asked me, "What are you doing? Like, Mark's never coming back." Well, I said, "Do you guys want the truth, or do you want me to lie about it?" Like, "No, tell us the truth." I said, "Well, I'm just listening. I enjoy teaching. I just want to get better at teaching, and what's a good way of getting better? By listening to the best in the world do what they do." Yeah. So they just started making fun of me. It was actually a running gag. So they said, "Well, leave the bag at the." Because sometimes I was walking a kilometer with a 50-pound bag on my back for no reason. So they just said, "Leave the bag inside and come and listen." So to your point of online lessons, I mean, I think they're great. If the reason I don't do it, I do put on my Facebook account or my Facebook golf community. I do put quite a bit of technical or short game tips and stuff like that. And when I'm going to be on site for the Honda Classic, Bay Hill, TPC, I do go inside the ropes with my friends, the PGA Tour players. And a lot of times I'll do some live videos, and the pros are going to explain to you what they're doing. I do a lot of videos with the Canadians, obviously. I'm close to most of them. So I think that online lessons, they're great, but I don't do them because I have access to outdoor facilities 12 months a year. I think if you're a coach and you're stuck inside, they can be great. But again, one of the big, how can I say, the one thing I've noticed in Quebec compared to the United States is that the lessons and the teaching in Quebec is solely, it's always about technique and the aesthetic of the swing. They don't show you how to play. And for having been with the PGA Tour coaches, every single coach on tour takes great pride in his own or her own game. So they practice a little bit, because when they have to show shots, I'm not saying they're all like +5 handicaps, but they're all pretty good golfers, and they always have some sort of club in their hand, and they keep some sort of feel. So when they have to show something to their student, which we're talking about the best players in the world, when they have to show something, they can do it. I find, like I said, in Quebec, a lot of times they focus on, they'll take your swing, they split the screen in half like it is right now. They'll put Ernie Els' swing in 1994, and they'll say, with lines and circles, and they'll say, this is what it's supposed to look like. Right. I don't care what it looks like, as long as it produces a consistent ball flight and something you can reproduce. I don't care what it looks like, as long as it works. And it seems to be more the mentality of the newer version, the newer coaches, the younger coaches on the PGA Tour, which I still have time to, I spend time with them in the winter, and I'll see them shortly in a few weeks when the Honda Classic shows up to Palm Beach Gardens, which is 20 minutes up north, up 95. Their coaching, their methods of teaching is very, very, it's all on results. They don't care what it looks like, because that's how the coaches, they get a certain percentage of the earnings of their players. So, you
need results. You need money.
Correct. Not only that, but if I ask you, Shaun, do you want Adam Scott's swing or do you want Jim Furyk's swing? Everyone's going to say Adam Scott. Yep. But over the year, Jim Furyk hits more fairways. He hits more greens and regulations than Adam Scott. So again, the aesthetic has nothing to do with the results. So
No.
if I had, you know, and I've been more and more involved in coaching in Quebec, you know, but a lot of teachers see me as a threat instead of an ally. So that's one thing that I've been very vocal about, is stop being so obsessed with the technicality and the aesthetic of the swing. Take your student on the course, show them how to play. And a lot of times, even the coaches don't know how to play.
Right.
So I think that's a big problem when your teacher can't break 85. I don't think it's the way to go.
No, and Yohann knows of what he speaks. The 2021 PGA du Quebec Player of the Year, one of the best drivers of the golf ball. The reputation speaks for itself. This man has played in a U.S. Open. He has caddied on the PGA Tour, Corn Ferry Tour. You can follow him on his Facebook golf community page, Yohann Benson's Golf Community. It is a private group, so just ask for entry. And no doubt you should be there. So it's a lot of like-minded people. If you're into golf, I encourage you to check out Yohann Benson's Golf Community over at Facebook. And when, you know, you talk about, and obviously I want to get into the U.S. Open and life on the tour and like who's the smart guy that maybe we didn't think was all that smart in terms of breaking down the swing. But just one finish up on you talk about like interesting swings and the just swing your swing. Like whether it's Jim Furyk or Matt Wolff, who's a great college player, had a brilliant PGA Tour rookie season, kind of fell off a little bit, and now is trying to regain his form. You know, you can look at guys that are over the top, over the line, at the top of their backswing. But Yohann, don't they all have the common, you know, regardless of how they get to the top, when they get to the slot, they're all the same.
Correct.
That's where the swing is.
The impact position is very similar. You know, for a right-handed golfer, the hands on the left thigh, kind of like at address. They all have some sort of the same impact position. Obviously, you have flatter swings, you have more rounded swings, you know, which we call pickers, the guys that are really coming from the inside. You know, but it also has a lot to do with the way their body works. You know, most very flexible guys, you know, the Dustin Johnson, the Rory McIlroys, the guys who have tremendous shoulder turn, you know, will have different, obviously higher ball flights and stuff like that. But to me, like, it's great to see those guys day in and day out. For me, the most intriguing golfers are more the Kevin Nas, the Adam Hadwin, the Patrick Cantley, the guys who don't do anything extraordinary, but they don't do anything bad. Those are the guys that have long careers and they make a ton of money, but they're not flashy like the golfers we just named. So those are really the golfers, the Corey Connors. The guy is unbelievable. He hits it so good. Like, people don't realize how good he hits the ball. And if Corey Connors would be anything better on the greens, he'd be a world beater. He just hits it so good.
Oh, what an iron player.
Just a little tight draw. And you know, one of my fondest memory in the recent years is walking the final round at the Masters. Connors was playing with Will Zalatoris, who just came on the scene last year. If you remember, nobody knew who he was, and he just came on the scene and top 2, top 3, everything. And so I'm walking down. I'll remember. I'm walking down the 15th fairway. We're on the left side, so the par 5 with the little pond in front. We're in the trees on the left, because then we got to go to 16, which is to the left of 15. And I'm walking between Derek Ingram. Derek Ingram is Corey Connors' coach, and he's the coach of Team Canada. And on my left is Josh Gregory, who's based in Dallas. He's basically the coach for all the Dallas guys and coaches Will Zalatoris. And I'm just in the middle, listening to them sharing thoughts about, hey, what are you doing with Corey? And that's another thing in Quebec. Everyone pulls the blanket their own way. So coaches don't exchange. They want to keep players their way or for themselves instead of exchanging ideas. And that really, and I had a good conversation with Derek about that, and he agrees that coaches need to share their you might be better on short game than I am. I might be better in the long swing than you are. Mm-hmm. So you gotta, every player takes the best coach for every part of his game instead of having one guy. And so I just thought that was so interesting. And, I was just, so first of all, I'm at the Masters broadcasting, and you and I talk in the morning on TSN 690. And I'm just thinking about, I'm the little guy from Pincourt, Quebec. I'm at the Masters, and I'm between these two coaches, and I'm just listening to what they're saying. And it's just, I have to pinch myself sometimes.
Yeah.
And when I was caddying was the same. Like, when you're caddying and you're paired with Phil Mickelson or Tiger Woods, I'm like, what am I doing here? I just couldn't believe. There's a lot of times where I just can't believe, how did I get, I know I've worked hard to get where I'm at, but still, sometimes I have to pinch myself. Like just yesterday, I was playing golf with Vincent LeCavalier. The guy's a legend.
Yep.
Like, what am I doing? I played with Martin Brodeur the other day. I'm like, man. And they're interested in what I'm doing. I'm like, who am I to?
Dude, that's what golf does. Like I played 149 rounds last year, Yohann. I play every day. I love golf. I love golf so much. And like when I see you, I can't wait to play with you. I played with Chris Van Dett, who is a scholarship player at Kent State, where Corey Connors and Mackenzie Hughes went. Yeah. He's on Canada's development team. I'm telling you, Yohann, when Chris Van Dett walks on a golf course, we're like schoolgirls. I'm taking a picture. I send it to my buddy. Like, Robbie, look who I'm playing with today. I see Chris on the range. I'm like, Chris, you want to get in a game? Because, I think I'm a decent player for an amateur, right? I got down to, a solid 4 handicap. I can get it around a little bit. But I know where Chris is at, where you're at, is a completely unattainable level. And because I care about it so much, and I see how naturally gifted you are and Chris is, and other pros are on the verge of becoming pros, it's like, I want that too. You know what I mean? So like, just to have a conversation with you, and it's one of my favorite things when I'm at the Masters or I went to the President's Cup, I don't want to walk the course. I don't want to watch them play golf. I want to watch them practice. I want to watch the coach. Let's exaggerate the motions. I want to see what you're doing, because I think there's a lesson to be learned from watching the best put the work in.
Correct. And to your point, it's just for having been with them, it's just so simple. Yeah. Like, we always think that they're out there for 10 hours. Like, Tiger had a military regiment. VJ has a military regiment. If we go on the female side, Bryson doesn't play. He just practices. But like, he's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. He's genuinely a really nice guy. But he would be so disappointed of the things that went through your head and mine, because he's just on a different spectrum of intelligence. Like, he is so smart. He dissects every piece of information. Like, I could never do that. Like, my type of golf is what I call dumb golf. It's just, I hit it, I find it, and I try to do my best with every shot. I don't think about things. I don't, like, I fade the ball. I can't hit a draw to save my life. So why would I start hitting draws? Like, it just doesn't work for me. My goal is to put it in the hole as quick as possible, not to think about how I'm going to do it. I just do it. And it seems when you're around the best players in the world, and you listen to their conversations on the course and stuff like that, they're just like two guys at a mall talking, and they just happen to be on one of the most prestigious golf clubs. Right. And to your point earlier, what you said about golf is when you join a private club, or you just are part of a golf league, you just make, so like 99% of the people in my life I've met through golf. Family members, everyone is through the game of golf, and it's such a big part of my life, and friends, and you know, like when I was caddying full time on the PGA Tour, the rookie year was tough because you're the first, you know, it's your first time at every course and all that. But having some sort of a nice personality and being quite friendly, I made some great friends, and I had people to stay with almost at every tour stop. So that saves me a bunch of money, and because they're hosting you, they're happy to host you, and you know, made great friends for life and great friendships and all that. So golf is just the best for that, to exchange, because you know, whatever level of play you have, you can enjoy yourself for 4 or 5 hours out on the course, and talk about all sorts. And you know, you have some nice members at Kanawaki that, you know, just to listen to their stories, you know, John Ray and those guys, just to Michel Lacroix, just to listen to how, I mean, Michel is just such a mentor to me, and he's such a nice guy. And when he starts talking to you, when you're having a drink with him and he talks to you with his voice, like it's the Bell Center voice that's talking to you, but he's talking to you about how he hated the chip he just hit or something like that. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I played a lot of golf with Mish as sa belle épouse, you know, and he loves golf, passionate player.
He does.
And, you know, Vinny LeCavalier was a member of Kanawaki. I don't know if he's out of town.
He's
out of town member still there. I always found it fascinating.
Theodore, same thing.
Yeah, like Max Pat, I played golf with Pacioretty a few times. He joined Kanawaki too, and I'd bust his balls. I'm like, dude, you make $6 million a year. You're an intermediate. You're like, your dues are like $1,800 a year. You know what I mean? All these guys joining and making millions of bucks. You know. Before I let you go, I got a lot to get to here with Yohann Benson, part of RDS's golf coverage with Michel Lacroix. He was the PGA du Quebec Player of the Year in 2021, teaching out of Florida. If you got the means, go out there to West Palm there, and you'll find Yohann, get some lessons, knocking around a little bit. Obviously, you know, you stated earlier that you're from Pancor. So quickly, if you can, when did you know that golf was the sport that you were gifted at? The golf was like, oh, maybe there's something I could do with this sport. When did that all start to come together for you, Yohann, and who helped you?
Quite frankly, the only reason I started golfing is when I was in high school. So I was about 16 or 17. I was looking for a summer job, and I had some friends. I worked at Club de Golf Vaudreuil, right next door to the Summerlee. And I was looking for a summer job, and that's how I started golfing. We would work in the morning and we would play in the afternoon. So I really didn't play junior golf. I never had, you know, any aspiration of going to college with this golf scholarship, because I never really played. And then I started CJEP in Pierrefonds, and then when that was done, I came to Florida because I met some friends who's now the head pro at Summerlee, Steve Deschênes, and Steve invited me to come and spend some time with him in Florida. And then he and a couple other Quebec pros really saw some sort of talent in me, and they said, you should start playing competitive golf. So in 2002 or 2003, I started playing the little Montreal Golf Quebec local scene, and I did really well. And then I played the bigger event, Duke de Kent, and somehow I ended up making the Quebec team. I still don't know to this day how I did it, because I never won an event, but you know, I might have finished top 5 in all of them. So with the points and all that, I made the Quebec team. And then 2004, I had a good amateur year too. And then after that, I had met a girl here in the United States. So I basically moved full time to the States. I was working under the table at a country club, you know, making tip money as a bag boy, very illegally. And then I turned pro fall of 2007, played the Canadian Tour, then the Corn Ferry, a few PGA Tour events, US Open and all that. So it kind of, I never really had a goal of making. Once I started getting good at golf, I knew I wanted to work in the golf industry as a club pro. But then I got better quickly, played at a very high level, And then once I was on the Canadian tour and well established, I was the only bilingual person. I was the only French Canadian out there for a few years. And the Canadian tour asked me to do their media work because they needed someone bilingual in Winnipeg and Saskatoon and Edmonton. So instead of sending 2 people, they just sent me. And back then they had a show on the Golf Channel called Chasing the Dream. So I was the host for that. So that's how the media came into my life, and I really enjoyed it. And that's how I really enjoyed it. And then I stopped playing in 2014 for back issues, and that's when Mark Hubbard asked me to start caddying for him. So I caddied for him for 5 years. I also caddied for Russell Knox quite a bit, Adam Hadwin, another close. I've only caddied for friends. And then Mark was having a pretty bad year in 2019. And that's when I had the offer from RDS and to start teaching at Laval. So that's when I came back to Quebec. So long story short, that's about what happened with my career. And now I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. But the media work really, really is something I really thoroughly enjoy doing.
Especially, it's a passion of yours. It would be different. Like you're not covering politics at the White House. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You're doing what you love to do and telling a story, and you're great at it. With Yohann Benson from RDS, you ready for some rapid fire? I got some rapid fire.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you love most about the game?
Being outside, friendship, and visiting new places, especially the really highly ranked exclusive clubs. I've done quite a few of them, but the historical places I really enjoy.
Okay, don't go too far because I'm going to ask you about that too. What do you dislike? What do you dislike about the game?
It probably has nothing to do with the game, but it's just I'm kind of in between the newer and the older generation of. I don't mind the shirt tucked in, but there are some clubs that like I tuck in my shirt, and I will probably always do it. I don't like where we're going with some sort of a confrontation between the history and the etiquette to the non-etiquette. So that's one thing that I dislike right now is sort of the conflict between the newer adept and the older. So that's the
thing too. I think if I had to change, it might be the shirt rule, or like I can't wear. Let's say if I want to wear a Chicago Bears hat to play golf, I can't do that. It has to be golf logo. So when the Canadians were in the Stanley Cup final last year, I brought 3 big boys from TSN to play golf at Kanawaki, right? And so one of them is TSN hockey insider Darren Dreger. So Dreger's on the back of 18 practicing on our practice putting green. And so he's walking to the first tee. I'm like, Dregs, come on, we're on the tee in like 2 minutes. And so he's walking to me, and I see him. He's got his shirt untucked. It's like down to like to past his belt.
Yeah.
And I'm like this. I'm like, oh my God, you're killing me, Dregs. You're killing me. I look at him and say, Darren, tuck your shirt in. Because somebody was going to say something to me.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's those little rules sometimes, but I get it. It's a small price to pay to be a member at your favorite golf course. Yohann, what do you say to people who say, and people love to say this to me because they love to troll me, golf isn't a sport, golf's a hobby.
Well, it's there's the National Hockey League and there's beer leagues. There's the MLB and there's softball leagues. You can't. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Most guys on the PGA Tour are extremely fit, and if we have some young listeners or some young viewers, most golfers on the PGA Tour have played multiple sports. Gary Woodland grew up playing basketball. Justin Thomas, same thing. Tony Finau, same thing. They played baseball. They played hockey. They played all sorts. Don't concentrate solely on golf. You need all sorts of skills to play golf. So That's kind of the answer to that. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. Who's your favorite person to play golf with?
Well, I say, I have a few. I have, obviously, Mark Hubbard would be one. My friend that I nicknamed Mononk, he's one of the 15 pros they have at Laval-sur-Lac. His name is David Allard. I play a ton of golf with him when he's in Florida. He's about to leave, though. He was here for about a month and a half, staying at Quail Ridge with members of his. And he's one of my favorites. I love playing with Jonathan Huberdeau.
Ooh, what's his game like?
He's I call him a sprinkler. When a sprinkler when a sprinkler comes out of the ground, you have no idea in which direction it's going to shoot first. That's Huberdeau. I call him a sprinkler. He is a public danger on a golf course, but
do you say that to in English? Do you call him a sprinkler in English, or is there a French word for that?
Yeah, okay. No, sprinkler. I nickname him the sprinkler, and he's having, and I'm very fortunate to be not only close friends with him, but he's close in proximity. He's in Fort Lauderdale, so I get to go to a few games of his, and he's having an outstanding season.
Un vrai vedette, mon gars.
Yes.
Okay, what's your favorite club in your bag?
Putter.
Worst club in your bag?
Long iron, any long iron. Like I'm a Titleist. I wish they could make me a set of hybrids. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. Like I'm not one of those purists that needs blades in his bag or anything like that. I just want something that's easy to hit and that goes towards my target.
So if I could start, then what would your longest iron be? If you can have hybrids, where would your iron start?
Well, right now in my bag, so I always switch between. I have a 3 hybrid, and like yesterday when we played, I have a 3 hybrid and a 5 iron. And then if I don't need the hybrid, then I'll put in a 4 iron. But like I still play at a decent level, and when I go play with the tour guys, I'm not
Oh, Yohann? Oh no! Hopefully, we didn't lose Yohann Benson. Looks like his connection has frozen. I think we lost. Oh, Yohann, yeah. I got you.
There you go.
Oh, it's okay. Perfect.
So I was gonna say when I go play with the tour guys, here in Florida, I'm not ashamed of my game. My game is pretty good compared to theirs. Around the greens, on the greens, I'm fairly level with them. It's the long irons where they really eat me alive. 4, 5, 6 irons. Their flight is just a little tighter than mine. Some days I'm pretty good, but on a day in and day out, where I'm the most impressed with them, with the tour guys, is the long irons, because most people don't know that for a large majority of players on par 4s on the PGA Tour, they're going to be between 220 to like 170 yards to the green. So you need to be able to make birdies with 4, 5, 6, and 7 irons. It's not a wedge game like everyone thinks it is.
Right. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you're on a par 4 and you continually have to hit 7 iron or longer into the par 4, you're playing from the wrong tee box. Is that fact or fiction?
Well, that's fiction, because that's what the courses are. Like yesterday, I mean, we played Old Memorial with Vinny, and it's a 7,500-yard golf course. It's very playable, but you just have to. You're not going to have many wedges. So when you have a wedge in your hand, you got to take advantage of it. But that's what the PGA Tour is all about. Like, you have a very fine minority of players that have wedges in their hands all day. The Dustin Johnson, the Bryson DeChambeau. If you look at Hadwin, or you look at Connors, or you look at Nick Taylor or Mackenzie Hughes, they hit a nice tee ball, but they're going to make birdie with a 6 iron.
Right.
But at a recreational level, you're right. I wouldn't suggest for a 20 handicapper to always have 7 iron or up. You're right. You got to play forward and have wedges from time to time.
But sometimes, the ego gets in the way, right? I don't play from the white tees. I play from the tips with the big boys, right? That's where I play.
Right.
Good, have
That's
fun.
right.
Have fun shooting 130. No problem. Okay, so just before I let you go, Yohann, tell me somebody that's like surprised you a little bit. Like you talked earlier about putting Mark Hubbard's bag down next to Tiger Woods or Freddie Couples or Ernie Els or the great players when you were on the bag for when you were looping for Hubbard. Who's the sharpest guy that maybe people that have never been there, you can tell them, no, you don't get to see it, but trust me, he's got
it. You're talking like intelligence, or you're talking just okay. Well, Mark is a 2-time All-American academic. He went to San Jose State. Mark is he's super book smart, but he's street stupid. So yeah, like he can talk, like you can talk to him about anything. Phil Mickelson's like that too. You can literally talk to Phil about anything: gambling, sports, politics, science, cars. Mark's like that, but Mark to like show up to the course and make sure, like when I caddied for him, I have to make sure he brings golf shoes. Like babysitting almost. And that's what tour guys are like. It's just
right.
They're so good at what they do, but some of them are just so incredibly like they're loose cannons almost.
Yeah.
Like common sense just doesn't register for them. Other guys that are Justin Thomas is super interesting. He loves sports. I had dinner one time with Jordan Spieth, and he knew I was from Canada, and Mark was there, and Jordan likes to gamble a lot on sports, not big amounts, just to, like fantasy football and stuff like that.
Keep it fun. Yeah.
Correct. And he was asking me, because he's kind of getting into hockey, living in Dallas, and he said, what are your tricks to gamble on hockey? I said, Jordan, I don't care how much money you are. If there's a sport that I'm telling you not to gamble on, is hockey, because you never know who's going to. You kind of know who, but it's not like basketball when the Lakers show up, or when Tom Brady shows up. In football, you kind of know who, maybe not in the playoffs, but regular seasons, you have a great idea of who's going to win. But hockey, it's such a coin toss. So it's really intriguing to see, because obviously the golfers like golf, but where I find it more interesting is to find out their other hobbies. Like, what do they like to do outside the course? Some guys read, some guys paint, some guys are musicians. So those are all things that I'm so fortunate to have access to those guys and to their private lives, that it's fun. It's fun to see what they like to do other than golf, obviously.
Okay, we're going to leave you right here. The most prestigious course you've ever played? Prestigious.
It would be, it's got to be one in the Northeast. So either Wingfoot, Marion, Oakmont, Bethpage. I was
Oakmont's the answer. Come on, Oakmont's the answer.
Yeah, have you played Oakmont?
No, but I'm friends with somebody that can get me on, and I bust his balls. Bob Trudell, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
He's played Oakmont, and he's brought members of Kanawaki to Oakmont. So I've made friends with Bob. I'm friends with Bob.
It's the hardest course ever.
I played it on the sim in December. I shot 81.
You're not going to shoot 81 on the real thing. They have things at Oakmont. They have putts that they call cigarette putts. So you'll have a 4-footer. If you miss the hole, you have time to light one up, smoke it before your ball's done rolling. You'll be 40 yards off the green.
Wow.
It's a beautiful, prestigious club, but it's miserable to play. It's so hard. Everything's hard. It's hard to hit the fairways. If you miss the fairways, you're dead. You got to chip out. Then from where you chip out, you got to hit a green that's rolling at 14. That's firmer than hell. There's nothing fun about Oakmont, but
No.
you got to play it once in your life.
Yeah, if you can, right? Do you think you're ever going to get on Augusta as a player?
I mean, I would hope so. I'd love to play Augusta, but I've been there so many times that it's like if I've played it. And then a lot of the courses on the PGA Tour, another funny story if you have time, Mark Hubbard, he hates waking up. He's 30, he's born in 89, so he's 32 now. He's going to be 33 in May. He can sleep from 11 to 11 and he doesn't even move. It's incredible. So a lot of times, because we played most of our practice rounds in the afternoons, a lot of times, and Mark plays more of a blade iron, but we have the same specs and all that. So a lot of times I would put my putter in the bag, and a lot of times as a caddy during a practice round, we're not supposed to do that, but him and I would go out by ourselves at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and we would play like a match play. He'd give me 2 shots aside or something like that. So I played a lot of the PGA Tour courses with him carrying the bag in the afternoon. And so I played Pebble that way. So I've played, I'd say I've played most courses that are on the PGA Tour schedule illegally caddying and playing while we, those are all fun memories we have.
Well, listen, Yohann, it's been an absolute treat. We've done 56 minutes and change, you and I, straight golf talk. I could go for 2 more hours. I have so many other questions. I hope, once you come back to La Belle Province, you come back home, I hope that maybe we could do something together on the course. That'd be nice. That's my dream. You know what I mean? Like a little on the course, a little lesson, edit it down, put it out there, and everything else. So it's been lots of fun. Yohann Benson, the 2021 PGA du Quebec Player of the Year, broadcaster with RDS, and of course, the pro at Club du Golf, Le Mirage. And we look forward to seeing you back home and working together in the future. Go subscribe to his Facebook group, Yohann Benson's Golf Community. And Yohann, thank you so much for the time, man. Enjoy Florida.
Well, you're very welcome. And you and I will talk soon, obviously, when I'm at the Players and the Masters. It's always fun to talk to you guys on TSN 690 early in the morning.
Yes, sir. Merci beaucoup, mon gars.
All right. Merci à toi. Bye.